Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I talk about living, working and adulting in the UK. So if that's something that you like, please go ahead to subscribe and come back for more interesting content. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about buying your first car in the UK. So whether you've just passed your driving test or you've just moved to the UK or you've just decided to start driving, then this video is definitely for you. So stick around because I'm going to be sharing helpful tips on how to buy your first car in the UK, what to look out for, what to expect, and all the associated costs with that. I made a video talking about how to get your full driving license in the UK. So if you've not seen that video, I'm going to put it up here. The first question I would ask is, do you really need a car? Quick story, I was having a chat with my American friend and we're just talking about how I spent almost £1,500 just to get my full UK driving license. And she goes, do you even need a car in the UK? The roads are so small and public transport is cheap anyways. And I was like, oh God, you've just spoken like a true American. Because that sounds like something an American would say, but yeah, very important. Do you actually need a car in the UK? So if you live in big cities, like if I lived in London, I wouldn't own a car, if I'm being honest, because public transport in London is actually kind of convenient to an extent. I don't know, I don't live in London, but I travel to London a lot, and whenever I do that, I'm like, nah, I'm never driving in this city anyways. But because the underground comes like 2 to 3 minutes, I don't know about the buses, but I always use the underground when I'm in London. So if you live in big cities or if you live around the city center, you might not actually need a car because you need to also think of parking. Some houses do not come with like parking allocation, so you might need to start paying to park, or parking your car by the roadside, which sort of like increases your insurance. We'll get to all of that. So if you've asked yourself all these questions, checked all of this, and you're sure you actually need a car, then the next question you're going to ask me is, where do I actually find a car? You can find a car on maybe Auto Trader, there's Facebook Marketplace, there's Gumtree, or even dealerships, So for Facebook Marketplace and Gumtree, I would like to put out a disclaimer that if you're going to buy a car from there, ensure that you have seen the car, you've tested the car before sending money to somebody. Do not send money to anybody you have not met when you've not seen the car, because you could easily get defrauded on Facebook Marketplace or Gumtree. Now, you might be wondering, should I buy a manual car or an automatic car? So in the UK, there's two types of driving license. You either have an automatic driving license or a manual driving license, which is if you took your test in an automatic car, then your license is automatic. If you took your test in a manual car, then your license is a manual license. So with a manual license, you can drive an automatic or a manual car. With an automatic license, you can only drive an automatic car. So if you decide, oh, I have an automatic license, but I want to now maybe drive a manual car, you'd have to retake your test in a manual car for you to be allowed to drive that. Because if you get caught, you could be fined and all of that, and you don't want all that complications. So these are some of the things you should check. So manual cars are usually cheaper in the UK, so most people always tend to go for manual cars. Now, the checklist of things to check out for when you want to buy a car is, the first thing is check the MOT history. So I'm going to put a link in the description, or you could just go online and just Google check MOT history, and you'll see the gov.uk website, where you just need to put the car plate number, and which is the registration details, and you would see all the MOT history from the day the car was bought. Because when you buy a new car in the UK, like a brand new car, you don't need to do an MOT until the car is about 3 years old. So from 3 years after that car was first registered, you would see all the yearly MOT that has been done on that car. So some things to look out for when you're checking the MOT. So there is usually an advisory or warning, which is like a dangerous or a serious thing. So an advisory is not something it's not something you should really bother about, because an advisory can be maybe change your tires, maybe your tires are getting worn out, stuff like that. So those are like advisories. They are not like life-threatening at that point, but if you don't take the advice, then it becomes life-threatening, that sort of thing. So sometimes you could see something like maybe minor engine oil leak, stuff like that. Those things can come under advisories, and they're not really something for you to worry about. So if you're trying to buy a car and you see an advisory, don't panic. But if you see like a serious warning or like a dangerous one, I can't remember what exactly it's called now, then that's when you should actually panic. So if there's something like that, maybe faulty brakes, I'm just giving an instance, maybe faulty brakes has come in as a serious warning after an MOT, and they would usually fail. When you have a serious one, they will usually fail the MOT, and you would have to like maybe fix that thing and redo it again. So if maybe faulty brake had come in and obviously it was fixed, and then the MOT was redone and it was passed, but you keep checking, and every year when the MOT is done, that particular fault comes out as a serious warning, you know, and it makes the MOT, makes the car fail the MOT and all of that, then that's actually maybe a red flag. It's something that you should be wary of. So I think that's about it with the MOT. Just look at what has been going on with the car. You can basically tell if the car is like, you know, a problematic car or if it's a good car and all of that. So another thing is mileage. I've seen some people stress out so much about mileage. Oh, this car has 127,000 miles, so I can't buy it. No, actually, you shouldn't actually stress out about, you know, mileage, especially if it's like maybe like you can't be buying a maybe 2007 car and you want the mileage to be 40,000. It's just not possible, you know, because that car has been in existence since 2007. That's how many years? That's about 18 years. So, you know, so if you see a 2007 car with over 100,000 miles, it's kind of expected. If you even see a 2007 car with 1,000 miles, that's when you should be worried that, oh, maybe they've gone to, you know, tamper with the mileage. But on your MOT, when you check the MOT history, you will see what the car mileage every time the MOT was done. That's also recorded. So high mileage might just obviously say, okay, this car has been driven a lot, but it's not really something to panic about, because I've driven a car with over 120,000 miles, and I drove the car till I was tired, and I've had to sell it and to get another one. So it didn't give me any problem at all. So imagine if I didn't buy that car simply because we had over 120,000 miles or mileage, then I would have been missing out on, you know, something good. Now the next thing is the tires, the brakes, and the lights. These are things that you should actually check, because you can actually get a driving fine if maybe your lights are not working properly. Like it's wild out there, so ensure that these things are working. But sometimes the light bulb could be dead. That's something that should not stop you from buying a car, because you can actually just buy the light bulb for maybe £5 or £10 and change it yourself, or take it to the mechanic to, you know, help you change and all of that. But these are just things that you should generally check. The tires as well, you know, there's like certain requirements for your tire tread depth and all of that. So if the tire is not up to the standard, obviously you can actually change your tire. I think the tire is about £30 or £40, I can't remember right now, but it should also not be a reason why you should not buy a car. But these are just things that you should actually check out for and be made aware of. Now the next thing I would say is test drive the car. If you're buying a second-hand car, even if it's from Facebook Marketplace, from Gumtree or wherever, always take the car on a test drive. Because when you take the car on a test drive, it can make you aware of a fault that the car might have that maybe the seller is trying to hide or not talking about. So ensure you always test drive a car before you actually buy it. The last thing I'll talk about is the V5C, which is like the document that shows ownership of a car. So on that document, you would see maybe how many owners have had the car previously before you, and just, you know, you have like your information basically. All of that would be on your V5C. So that's what you would keep to say, okay, this car belongs to me.